Welcome, dear viewers, to a bone-chilling dark.
As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow across the desolate road, I found myself driving home alone on a stormy night. The rain pounded against my windshield, and the occasional flashes of lightning illuminated the darkness, creating fleeting glimpses of the surrounding forest. The radio crackled with static, and an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. As I drove further into the night, my mind couldn't help but conjure up tales of hauntings and ghostly encounters. I brushed off my fears as mere superstitions, reminding myself that it was just my imagination running wild. Yet, the relentless rain and howling wind seemed to conspire against me, creating an atmosphere of dread. Suddenly, my headlights caught a fleeting figure standing by the side of the road. It was a woman, her wet clothes clinging to her shivering frame. My heart sank as I thought of offering her a ride, but my instincts warned me against it. Stories of hitchhikers who turned out to be malevolent spirits echoed in my mind. Ignoring the growing feeling of unease, I drove past her, hoping she would find help elsewhere. The further I traveled, the more peculiar things became. Strange noises emanated from the woods, like faint whispers carried by the wind. I shook it off as the sound of the rain and my imagination playing tricks on me. But then, the radio abruptly turned on by itself, emitting an unsettling static that echoed through the car. I fumbled with the controls, trying to silence it, but the volume seemed to intensify. An unnerving feeling of being watched enveloped me, and I glanced at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see an eerie figure lurking behind me. Nothing was there, but the sensation persisted, and my heart raced with fear. Determined to dismiss these strange occurrences, I focused on the road ahead. However, as I passed a bend, my headlights revealed a terrifying sight, a spectral figure floating above the road. Its ethereal form glowed with an otherworldly light, and it seemed to be reaching out towards my car. I slammed on the brakes, my heart pounding in my chest, but the apparition vanished before my eyes. Shaken and frightened, I tried to rationalize what I had just witnessed. Perhaps it was a trick of the light, or maybe my mind was playing tricks on me due to fatigue. I hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether to continue my journey or turn back. As I deliberated, a cold hand suddenly gripped my shoulder from behind. I screamed in terror, jerking away, only to find an empty backseat. Panic surged through me as I realized that I was not alone in the car. Fear consumed me, and I sped away, desperate to escape whatever malevolent presence was haunting me. The rain intensified, making visibility almost impossible. The road ahead seemed to stretch into an endless void, and I felt as though I had entered a nightmarish realm where reality and illusion intertwined. Shadows danced along the edges of my vision, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped in a nightmare from which I couldn't awaken. In a state of panic, I dialed my friend's number on the phone, hoping for some comfort and reassurance. As the call connected, I cried out for help, recounting the horrors I had experienced. But to my bewilderment, my friend's voice was distant and garbled, as if it was being carried away by the wind. With no one to turn to and the terrors closing in around me, I felt utterly alone. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, leading me further into a dark abyss from which there was no escape. The rain lashed against the car, creating an almost hypnotic rhythm that further fueled my fear. Suddenly, the car's engine sputtered, and the headlights flickered. I desperately tried to keep the car running, praying that I could reach safety before it completely died. My heart pounded in my chest, and the feeling of dread intensified. In the distance, I saw a dim light, the only sign of civilization in this desolate place. With hope rekindled, I pushed the car forward, trying to make it to the light. But as I drew closer, I realized that it wasn't a sanctuary, it was an abandoned and dilapidated house, seemingly untouched by time. An overwhelming sense of foreboding washed over me, but with no other options, I parked the car and cautiously stepped out. The rain beat down on me, soaking me to the bone, as I approached the decaying structure. Inside, the air was heavy with the weight of the past. Dust-covered furniture stood eerily still, and the atmosphere was suffused with an inexplicable coldness. A broken mirror adorned one of the walls, reflecting distorted images that sent shivers down my spine. As I explored further, I stumbled upon an old journal lying amidst the debris. Curiosity got the better of me, and I started reading the faded pages. The journal belonged to a woman who had lived in the house long ago, and her entry spoke of despair, heartache, and loneliness. She wrote of strange occurrences and the feeling of being watched, echoing the haunting experiences I had just endured. In one chilling passage, she described a malevolent spirit that had latched onto her, tormenting her with its malevolent presence. Her words sent a chill down my spine, as if I were reading a first-hand account of my own nightmarish journey. As I continued reading, the storm outside intensified, and the wind seemed to carry the anguished whispers of the past. My mind reeled, trying to comprehend the inexplicable connection between the journal and my own haunting experience. Suddenly, the journal slipped from my trembling hands, and a deafening silence filled the room. A cold breeze brushed against my cheek, and I felt a presence lurking just beyond my vision. I turned around slowly, and my heart nearly stopped as I faced the apparition, the same spectral figure I had seen on the road. The ghostly woman glided towards me, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. Her ethereal form radiated an icy chill, and I could feel her despair penetrating my very soul. I tried to move, to run, but my body felt paralyzed with fear. With a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the afterlife, she spoke, her words resounding through the room. She told a tragic tale of loss and torment, of a life cut short by unspeakable tragedy. She had been trapped in this forsaken place, unable to find peace or release from the anguish that bound her spirit. As her words reached their crescendo, the room seemed to pulse with a spectral energy. The walls warped and twisted, and the very fabric of reality appeared to unravel before my eyes. I was engulfed in a maelstrom of emotions, as if the pain and suffering of this tortured soul were being channeled through me. Desperation filled me as I clung to my sanity, pleading with the spirit to let me go. But the ghostly apparition seemed drawn to my presence, as if I was her only connection to the living world. In a final act of desperation, I mustered the strength to recite a prayer I had learned as a child. The words resonated with an unseen power, and the ghostly woman recoiled as if struck by an invisible force. The room quivered, and the